Okay. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the meeting in September 2019. Everyone have a chance to look over the minutes. Any changes?
I'll move approval.
A second?
Second.
All right. Minutes from September are approved.
After we vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right.
And I guess I should have
minutes
backed
been
up.
approved.
Has everyone been able to find the packet? Do people know where to get to them on the laptops?
Oh,
I can just, so basically if you just go to agenda packets, it's the bottom.
oh, there we go.
Hey, you got yours?
I got it up.
Julie, you're good.
And
Yeah.
This one right here?
And then healthy neighborhood,
Yeah.
and then 2020, and then that file.
Can we do, sort of like last time around, somebody give us a brief overview on how to pull that left side tab up so we can quickly jump to each
Oh,
section?
yeah, how do we do that?
Oh, but you cannot do it here because,
They're not linked.
here,
The,
you see what you want?
It had
the
kicked in on the
bookmarks,
left side, no
The
bookmarks?
bookmark,
the bookmarks aren't real helpful.
Yeah, I may not have, sorry, I may not have.
like he didn't sort it by
Bookmark first.
agency, so every,
Right.
so you need.
Yeah, I'll just reference page numbers, that's the
Yeah.
best I can do.
Okay.
Because I did try to separate things a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, no problem.
All right. Next on the agenda is the agenda review. Any additions or changes? Oh, okay. And then now the agenda items. Wade, do you want to go for those?
Yeah, so we'll start with 5A. So what I want to do today, just kind of like we've done in past years, I will provide a brief overview of the applications, provide a staff recommendation. I like to get through all of them, and then at the end, basically I'll turn it over to you guys to discuss as you want to discuss, and you'll ultimately be making recommendations based on your own.
Can I ask
Thoughts?
two
Yep.
questions first?
Sure.
So when you say staff recommendation, is you or who else was in this process?
Planning department,
Who is the planning department for the people that are?
myself and Sonia Creasel.
Okay. Second, my other question is, if there are because here I saw the package and the staff recommend some organization, but what happened at their organization that you didn't recommend and I will recommend? Can we?
So you guys,
It's
you
open
we
to
discussed.
everything. This.
you don't have to
Okay.
take, this is a
Okay.
step process, so
Okay,
this
okay.
is the first step with me and Sonia.
Okay.
Next
Okay.
step is you,
Okay.
your recommendation. So my recommendation, your recommendation will go to council.
Mhm.
Obviously, when we present to council, I will rely on the committee's
Okay.
recommendation as the next step, so, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so hopefully folks were able to look at the packet. There is kind of a brief memo that touches on kind of some of the big picture items in terms of analysis of the applications. I'll get into that. We do have a nice spreadsheet here that hopefully help clarify a lot of the information, and you could easily compare things. Again, as part of the evaluation process, the committee is free to use the application review form to help in your evaluation. So with that, I will move into process. And I'm just going to quickly breeze through this because I think folks have seen this over the past couple of years. There is one, and Julia kind of did touch on it, just quickly, kind of a four-step process here. We received applications in late February. Staff did a review, made some recommendations based on the review form, and again, kind of the big picture H&I. And we're here today to get your thoughts. Again, you're going to make recommendations. That's our goal for the meeting. The third piece is new. Last year and years before, after this committee made recommendations, it went to our upper level staff and our mayor, and they made funding award decisions. This year, we're transitioning those award decisions to our council. And then hopefully, I guess my goal is, we'll get recommendations today from this committee. I will take them to council, I believe the second meeting in March. That's my goal, just to keep things moving. And then hopefully they'll make a decision at that meeting, and then we can announce awards right after
I
that.
have another question. Do you
Sure.
need to put this in the consent, the refer agenda for next week?
I mean, I don't think it won't get referred to anybody, so.
It's not gonna go to finance?
Well, we can just do that. I'll check in with Misty. I mean,
Okay.
it can go to finance, but we don't have to, we can just prepare it as we prepare the normal under the normal agenda time.
And the money is in the budget already.
No, I know, but I am, yeah.
But yeah, we'll go to finance.
And my other question is, when we refer to council, the council, did you say common council to review and make funding awards? So, what I understood is this commission is gonna recommend the council to make, so when we go, we are gonna present the whole package, or the council is gonna go one by one and vote one by one? I want to be,
We can, maybe, we
I
can
want to
discuss it at the end of the meeting, how
Okay,
what we think is the
okay.
most efficient way to
Okay,
present to the council.
yeah,
Yep,
okay.
and I wanted to talk with the two alders specifically as well about
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but I think
okay.
it makes sense to talk about that as a committee. So,
okay,
Yep,
that's
yep.
fine.
Yep, good. So again, just, I think people have been on this committee for a couple of years, we all kind of know big picture H&I, Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative, what we're trying to accomplish. Again, we kind of touched on it, but city staff, we did our review based on, again, kind of these elements. So moving into summary of applications, again, just so people are clear, we're talking about our 3 H&I neighborhoods, Verona Road West, Belmar Renaissance on the Park, and North Fish Hatchery Road. So 10 total applications received, $89,120 in total requested funding. We did have one ineligible application. They exceeded the personnel cost requirements. So that left us with essentially 79,000 ineligible applications. If folks remember, our council allocated 15,000 of that 89 to the Fitchburg Fund, which we'll talk about later. So that leaves us with about $68,000 to fund the applications that came in February. So based on staff recommendations, we're recommending 7 applications, and I should clarify that second sentence fragment is false. 6 are recommended for full funding, 1 is recommended for partial funding. We'll talk about all those. So getting into the applications, Badger Prairie Needs Network, again, basically kind of five or six things I'll touch on for each application, and then again, you folks can discuss in more detail. Eligible application, yes, requesting $10,000 in funding. Focus activity is food insecurity and education, and more specifically undertaking outreach and expanding access to pantry, including a new pantry location in our Verona Road West neighborhood. Focused on 2 neighborhoods, Verona Road West and Belmar Renaissance on the Park. In terms of other considerations, I think obviously food security is a very immediate issue, so that's important to note. It's a collaborative project. I think it's really cool that they're working with another partner in that neighborhood. It's actually a faith group, a church. So the idea is they would set up a pantry in that church. They are a repeat partner. We have funded them in the past. They do good work. They do good reporting. So they're a good organization. So staff is recommending a full award.
And it's notable to me that that is an all-volunteer organization. They
Right,
have
yeah.
no paid staff.
True. Next one, Big Brothers Big Sisters, eligible application, yes, requesting the max amount of funding. Focused activity is youth mentoring, generally more specifically increasing what they call their bigs, their mentors, recruitment with their littles, which are their little folks they're trying to mentor, and essentially increasing the length and the strength of those matches. We're looking at all 3 neighborhoods. In terms of other considerations, again, I think a very proactive and collaborative project. I did want to point out, and I did clarify with the contact, in their budget, they have identified $900 for professional development. What they're telling me is that would pay for some of their staff to attend the National Big Brothers Big Sisters Conference in Minneapolis. Now, technically, I think that deserves discussion as whether or not that's a staff cost. And if it is, if the committee determines that, that would be an ineligible cost, because they've already allocated $2,000 for other staff costs. Is that clear? Okay, so that's something you guys can discuss. Repeat partner, we funded them last year. Very impressed with their project outcomes. Really clean reporting, made my life really easy on that end. So good group all around. So I'd recommend a full award.
The question that I had on theirs was particularly on the Verona Road corridor. They don't talk about Verona schools and working with Verona schools
Okay.
when all the Fitchburg kids in that area attend Verona schools. So I would really like to see them have a stronger relationship with Verona
Sure.
as it relates to those kids on the map. According to how it laid out, I only counted the center of 10 of the 27 indicated as being within
Yeah,
Fitchburg.
so I did clarify on that map, they basically just pulled their database just pulled everything in that area. I did
Mhm.
clarify that if they are awarded funds, they will only focus on kids in the neighborhoods.
And my question then is, are those kids, and if there's bigs included in that as well, no, there's not, are those kids attending Madison schools, since they're only talking about Madison schools, or are they connecting somehow with
Yeah.
kids in the Verona School District?
Yep, and I can follow up on that if need be. Okay, Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, eligible application requesting $10,000. Focus activity is youth and adult education, generally more specifically healthy dental lifestyle habits. I guess I did want to clarify, when I initially saw this application, I did have some concerns about eligibility in terms of we don't allow healthcare as an eligible application. I did a bit of research. A lot of the literature I saw clearly separates dental from this idea of healthcare. Furthermore, I did follow up with the applicant, and they clarified that this is about education. It's not about actual dental care. So again, and I made a determination that this is an eligible project, but certainly if the committee has thoughts in that regard, I'd be happy to further discuss. Again, kind of our two western neighborhoods, VRW and BRP. Other considerations, I did feel like the outcomes are a bit, they're certainly there, they're identified, but a little bit ambiguous in terms of measurables. So for some of those issues, I am recommending that we fund these folks, but not fully. So I'm recommending an award of roughly $8,400. Moving down to Catholic Multicultural Center. Eligible application, requested maximum amount. Focus activity is workforce development generally, and culinary job training more specifically. Again, focusing on our two western neighborhoods. Other considerations, I think it's a really, really cool project. Collaborative, very specific with their outcomes in terms of what they want to achieve. So with that, we are recommending full award.
I have a question, maybe for future. They should determine where they're gonna do this programming.
You mean physically where?
Yeah.
I think they have that whole
No, I
building.
know, yeah,
Okay.
they're gonna do it here in the Verona one?
I mean, that whole building on Verona Road is set up to do this stuff. So
Yeah, okay, but no, because the other one, they also have a big
okay.
kitchen.
Yeah, I can clarify that, sure.
Okay, no,
But
but
when they first moved out there, they invited me out there for a
Yeah,
tour, and
yeah,
they were all set up for like
Mhm.
this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
this will be out of
the Verona one?
the Fitchburg building.
Okay.
Okay. Dane Arts, I thought this was an interesting project. It was basically a mural kind of project. Unfortunately, they weren't eligible. Their personnel costs did exceed the requirement. And also they did, the actual location of the mural would have been outside of Fitchburg
Yeah.
in Luna's Groceries. Yeah.
Pointing out it is one parcel
Agreed.
outside of Fitchburg.
Understood, yep.
It's immediately adjacent to Fitchburg.
But I guess with the ineligible application, that solved some
Mhm.
of the potential discussion we could have had on it.
Yeah, it hurt me to
Yep.
have to,
And I did reach out to these folks, letting them know that these were ineligible. And I did feel partly responsible. I think the wording in the application wasn't as clear as it could have been. So I did allow them to resubmit. They didn't resubmit, so that's the way.
okay, yeah,
Because-
I looked at the application, and there was at least two places where it was very clearly stated.
And I think where the confusion came in was when I said project, when I said percentage of project, I meant project award from Fitchburg.
It would, this is what I was saying, this project will be nice if they hire kids to be part of the
Mhm.
mural and painting, than to hire professional to paint the
Yeah,
mural.
yeah.
This is how I see that. I don't have any issue if because most of them, they get the supply for free, because they approach me and they talk to me about this.
Mhm.
All the supply, they got it for free. What the 10,000 is gonna be to pay the people. You know what I mean? And this is where it's something that we were very careful as a committee to decide that 20% will be allocated to personal costs, but it will be a great idea if they do something like that, but invite kids from the different neighborhood to be part of that mural. Everyone participate, you know what I mean? Maybe we can talk to them for next year if they can come.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger, exactly, Julie, because I think bigger picture, I would love to engage this group in Fitchburg.
Yeah.
I don't know how we do it right quite yet,
Yeah.
but I think,
I want to
Yeah.
give them that whole wall outside of Chalet Gardens.
wow, there you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, Latino Academy of Workforce Development, eligible application, requesting 10,000 in funding. Again, similar to Catholic Multicultural Center, a really focused workforce development project. Basically CDL training certification, which commercial driver's license, so folks that would be driving for their livelihood. And then also kind of a computer skills training component as well. This would be focused on the North Fish Hatch neighborhood. Again, very proactive, very collaborative. Repeat partner, we've partnered with this group for I think 3 years now. They're doing good work. I think it makes sense to continue to support their work in Fitchburg, so recommending full award.
Any idea how, they said a lot of the work is going to be done at the library, correct?
I think they're gonna schedule their classes there, yep.
Any idea if they have transportation issues to get to there?
I think it's part of the budget, isn't it?
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I think I saw in the budget some allocation of money for transportation.
But that was for a different piece of the project, I think.
Well, we can go in detail. when
Yeah, I
we
assume
go.
if they, I mean, yeah, I can follow up with them.
I want to make sure that it doesn't become hard for people to participate only because they can't get
Yeah,
there.
yeah, understood.
Is this, I know that they do, other programming at their office at the Bridge Lake Point Community Center. Is this the only type of program that they do that's outside of that? Do you know?
Well, they do, no, they actually, so I think basically when this grant program started, that kind of brought this organization into Fitchburg.
Yeah.
So they do like
Right.
GED classes at Leopold School.
Okay,
So they do a lot of their programming, I think, at Leopold, but I think
Okay.
now they're maybe trying to find other places in the city to do
yeah,
things, so, yeah.
okay. I was just wondering if transportation was an issue.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, they run a pretty tight ship, so I assume they considered that when they came up with their location.
Yeah,
So, but I will follow up if need be.
We know getting people to the campus here
Yep, yep.
is nigh on impossible if they don't have a steering wheel to depend on.
yeah.
Moving on to New Bridge, eligible application. It looks like I did get the funding request wrong. They actually want 9620, not 10,000. This focus activity would be senior support generally, and more specifically, Latinx support for care of grandchildren, so kind of supporting Latinx grandparents as they care for their grandkids. Working in all 3 neighborhoods. What I like about this one is it's really collaborative. They're basically working with our senior center. I think they would be doing a lot of their programming out of that space. Again, the outcomes are a little bit, I guess I'll call them qualitative as opposed to quantitative, but it's nothing that would discourage me from recommending them for funding. So staff is recommending funding for this group as well. Girls on the Run, eligible application, to be honest, I did, so we don't allow rec applications to our program unless there is an educational component. I do think there is an educational component, but it's a little, I had to dig for it. I would call it maybe more of a mentoring type application. Small amount of funding requested, $2,000. Again, to me, it's more about mentoring. Generally, specifically, it's kind of a youth female running club / healthy lifestyles concept. Again, two of our western neighborhoods, Verona Road West and Belmar Renaissance on the Park. In terms of considerations, things I've already mentioned, outcomes were a little bit ambiguous. And in terms of eligibility, again, I think that I consider them eligible, but I did have some concerns there. All that being said, and given the strength of the other applications, staff is not recommending funding this group.
The biggest issue that I had with that application was the dates of the programming.
Okay.
Most of it doesn't happen until after we've finished our process, or most of it happens before we finished our process.
Okay. So another consideration, yep. Try for Schools, actually another similar application to the Girls on the Run. Again, eligibility, I did go back and forth, but ultimately made an interpretation of them being eligible. Requesting $7,500, again, more of a mentoring type application with a rec component. So looking at youth swimming, biking, running, and strength conditioning, kind of a club idea with healthy lifestyles. Focus on our North Fish Hatch neighborhood.
But I have a question about that.
Sure.
I think that we need, for future, we need to revise this concept about recreational, because most of the activity that after school or
Yep.
after programming that we want to do in the summer, they're going to involve some type of
Yep.
a sport
Yep.
activity. So I think that we need to,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
revise our.
So I think at the next meeting, I also want to talk about
Mhm.
changes for next year.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
yep, yep.
okay.
And I do agree with Julia.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep.
So much of what the kids in these neighborhoods need is recreational activities.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, again, it's, the considerations here were the same things we heard with Girls on the Run. So staff is not recommending funding for this application either. Last application is Unidos, eligible application, yes. Funding requested, maximum amount, $10,000. General focus activity is sexual and domestic abuse support. More specifically, they really want to grow their organization, so it kind of fits under that organizational capacity building. Relevant to all three neighborhoods. Again, in terms of considerations, I mean, this talk about an immediate issue, I mean, this is a very immediate issue. And that's, as such, staff is recommending a full award here as well. And I forgot to mention, too, we did fund these folks, I think, 2 years ago.
Okay,
So
I
not
was
last
gonna
year,
ask.
but 2 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have anything from
Oops.
our police department that would back up some of the statistics?
I didn't check in with them, I kind of trusted
Mhm.
trusted Unidos. But yeah, if need be, I can dig into that.
I think that would be.
Yeah.
I have questions as far as citizenship and
Sure.
whatever that's related,
Okay.
because I'm aware that people need to kind of walk tight ropes if
Mm.
they're not documented
Mhm.
I
with
think they
any
don't
kind
ask
of.
those questions.
Hmm?
They don't ask those questions in Unidos.
I would like to think not, but
Believe me.
I also want to establish a comfort level within the community that says it's okay to be part of this program,
Yep.
even if you're undocumented.
All right, so kind of summing up, again, city staff work group is recommending 68,000 approximately in funding this year, to Badger Prairie Needs Network at 10,000, Big Brothers Big Sisters at 10,000, Boys and Girls Club at about 8,400, Catholic Multicultural Center at 10,000, Latino Academy at 10,000, New Bridge at 9,600, and then Unidos at 10,000 as well. And then just kind of summing up, it's kind of some of the memo stuff that we talked about. In terms of where the applications are dispersed throughout the neighborhoods, the ones that we're recommending funding on. And some of these applications are serving multiple neighborhoods, so that's why you see a number that's bigger than 7 in that first box. So 6 applications serving the Verona Road West neighborhood, 7 serving the Belmar Renaissance on the Park, and 5 serving North Fish Hatch. And what I like about this is equal distribution. What I also like is that in years past, we talked about a lot of focus in the North Fish Hatch neighborhood and not so much in the others. I think what you're seeing here is balancing that out, so I think that's a good sign. The second table there breaks out the applications into kind of these major categories. So in terms of abuse support, we're looking at funding 1 application at $10,000. For education, both youth and adult, 1 application at $10,000. Food insecurity, 1 application at $10,000. Youth mentoring, 1 application at $10,000. Senior support, 1 application at $9,600. And workforce development, 2 applications at $20,000. And I think I did get some math wrong.
Yeah, the math is wrong, I will tell you, because you
For
have one.
I think it's for I somehow missed Boys and Girls Club, I don't quite.
Yeah, because you have 8,000.
Yeah.
8,000
I think
for
I
the-
revised the table, and I think I might have forgot to put it in there. So if you refer to the memo, hopefully that has well, that's wrong too, so. I think.
Wait.
You caught me. I think the Boys and Girls Club would probably go into education, so that would be 2 no, I'm sorry, that would be,
It's either mentoring or,
I think the education
No,
should
it's
actually show the
education.
Boys and Girls Club, so that would be the
Yeah.
only youth education one. So instead of seeing 10 under education, that would be 8,400, so.
okay.
I should have known the accountant would have caught me on that one.
No, I was looking and saying, it's an 8 hour.
Yep. Okay, so that is all I have, so I guess at this point, you guys can,
How we're gonna do it? We're gonna go one by one?
I'm trying to remember what we did last year, I think we,
Yeah, I don't know, I can't remember. I was gonna say, should we start with
yeah, I think we went one by one.
one by one?
Just, and kind of had a group conversation on each one.
Do we want to go through and decide which ones we're happy with?
Oh, I need to,
Yeah,
And
maybe
then
we,
talk about the
I
rest?
need to recuse from the try for school. Well,
Okay.
it's out, but in case that you're gonna discuss.
Okay.
yeah, no, I think Dorothy, that makes sense. Let's start with the ones that everyone are okay with, and then move to discussion on the ones that we disagree on, the recommendations.
So how we're gonna do it?
Should we talk about the organizations that we are okay funding first?
Okay.
And then we'll move to the ones that we disagree with. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So, I personally am okay with
Let's go back to this.
all of them. I initially was hoping that that either,
Can I just interject?
oh, sorry.
And I think from a staff perspective, and even to kind of pay due respect to the applicants, I would recommend to the degree we can to try to keep not splitting up funds, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
and I realize there might be some of that, but to the degree we can minimize underfunding projects and partially funding others, I think that's a good practice. So
Okay.
I'll just throw that out there.
Was there a question in the application, whether you would continue if it was less?
So I think there wasn't a question, again, that's something we can work on for next. What I did last year, I think, is, I think the committee made recommendations, and then I followed up with those applicants and asked, can you do this with a partial award? And I think most people said yes. But again, I would just throw that out there as a consideration to try to minimize some of that dissecting, I guess.
Yeah, so I agree with all the recommendations. I initially was hoping that we could fund either Girls on the Run or Try for, what is it called?
Try for schools.
Yeah, Try for Schools, but, after your explanation, it does kind of make sense. And maybe we can look into, as Julia was mentioning, changing some of the wording for next year so that we can include more after school. I was hoping for one of those after school programs to be able to be funded, but I'm okay moving on and saving that for next year. So I'm okay with the recommendations. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have some question. In general, I would say I agree 90% of this, but I would like to know why the Boys and Girls Club get only $8,400 instead of $10,000. How do you come up with that?
Yeah, that was kind of my last. I would have liked to fully fund them. I guess I looked at their issues compared to the other issues that applicants are working on. And I just felt dental health, in terms of what the hierarchy of needs or whatever it might be called, I thought dental health maybe wasn't at the top. I did debate, I went back and forth on trying to fully fund them, but then I didn't know where to cut. So, yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, because I would prefer to be fully funded if we're gonna do it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I
Then we
think
would
that,
have to cut from
yeah,
someone
Yeah,
else,
we
yeah.
have to.
I really like the, you know, the education component. Dental health in low-income families is a
Mhm.
big issue. Some of these kids, they
Sure.
don't have any insurance, and then having a good education on how to brush your teeth, what are the
Mhm.
food that you need to eat,
Mhm.
you know, to have a better, you know, health with your mouth.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I will say that it's something that, you know, I really care about this issue, and, you know, I would like to see the $10,000 funded. And then the other issue that I really care is about the other one, the $2,000.
Girls on the
Because
Run.
it's Girls on the Run, because I think that one is a nice, it has a very high component if you read the application and education, especially for girls, to increase their self-esteem, and
Mhm.
to feel that they are important, they're valuable, and how I think the running is the secondary part. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And $2,000, I think is,
Mhm.
I think we can make this happen. It's only $2,000. If it were $10,000, we say yeah, maybe wait for next year but the other thing is important is if we are moving forward with this, most of the activity that we want to provide to the youth, they have to have an educational component, but they have to have an activity, especially for the after school and summer activity. And I think the rec part we need to revise it. If there should be a component, oh, we're gonna do soccer training. No, we are doing like a Girl for Run. It's like, okay, it has a big education component, and running is like the activity that is gonna help us to improve the other thing that the program wants to. But yeah.
I fully agree, and I'm very supportive on the Girls on the Run. I am curious to know, though, moving forward, about the dates in which they had their programming set that Dorothy had brought up. Is it possible, if funded, or if with the recommendation to fund,
Mhm.
to have them change the dates, or was that something that they sort of set in stone due
Yeah,
to
let me just look
whatever
at
the
that one
situation?
and see what they're talking about here. So are we saying that, so they're starting now, is kind of what we're saying? Or
They've started already.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my impression would be that if we do award them, they would be able to spend the money on things that happen after we make the award, especially if it's just $2,000. So I feel like we're kind of coming in midstream to help continue to support their programming with their dates. So I can confirm with them, but I don't think that will be an issue with them.
Okay, and then on the back.
Yeah, I don't think we want to propose them to revise their timeline. I would just clarify that if we make an award, they can spend the money, between now and June.
And it would
does that make sense?
actually it would be,
Most of the
get money
activity is gonna be in
refunded
June.
to them that they have spent.
Sure.
So because we don't give them money up front.
Right, good point, reimbursement model.
Yeah, so the program is gonna happen.
Yeah, so I don't see that. I think if the committee recommends funding for them, I think we can make it work with their application. Yeah.
Perfect. I was just looking at it from both angles because of the fact that they had already started. I wanted to make sure that in case we get this kind of application in the future, make sure that it was fair enough so that they ran the duration of everybody else to have the same amount of time.
Got it.
And if on the back end, they've already spent some of the money and this would help them maybe push through and be able to continue programming on, that they can then either submit receipts or be able to document that during the time frame as well, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Nathan, you're in favor of funding Girls on the Run?
I think for the allotted amount of 2,000 to be able to do, what was proposed, and because they're hitting 2 of our target out of 3 areas,
Mhm.
I think would be phenomenal
Okay.
for youth.
This total 68,028 is the total amount available that
Yep.
we have to,
So what I'm hearing right now, without hearing from Dorothy yet, is that the committee generally likes staff recommendations with the exception of $2,000 for Girls on the Run.
Mhm.
And I guess I don't want to speak for the committee, but Julie also mentioned potentially fully funding Boys and Girls Club. So that's another 1,600. So
Mhm.
So
the discussion right now would need to cut 3,600 from that.
Another.
And we haven't heard from Dorothy yet, so maybe Dorothy has other thoughts, but that's just kind of a status update in terms of where we're at.
Mhm.
I'd rather find a way to add that to the budget, but I know that's not gonna happen.
keep
Can I
dreaming,
vote for that?
Dorothy, keep dreaming.
I know, when it comes to budget season on council, we end up fighting over,
Pennies.
I remember $350, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna do the math here in an Excel so we know if we are gonna, yeah.
Dorothy, do you want to chime in? Are you
Yeah,
with your thoughts or?
Other than being frustrated at having good programs that we're not able to fund, including, Dane Arts, and, I mean, this is a really worthy set of programs to fund, all of them. And it's heartbreaking to have to say no to anyone, even if they didn't read the instructions right and they put too much in the personnel column, and that's why we have to say no.
How do you feel about the Girls on the Run program funding?
I would love to fund it, but what do you take from?
Right.
We can, this is how there are some agencies here
Mm-hmm.
that they are very well robust and they can have the extra funding from other places.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one other good point, Julia, and another variable here is remember the Big Brothers Big Sisters, $900 I talked about. So I guess maybe a first thing would be, does the committee consider that a personnel cost or not?
Oh, the
And
nine.
if it is a personnel
The
cost,
professional, yeah.
then we
the
could,
the
that 900 could be allocated
Yeah, I
somewhere
don't,
else.
yeah, I don't see that travel expenses should be part of this.
Okay.
I would agree to,
I know that
Pay-
is
So
a,
Pay-
this is,
pay-
I
pay
guess
to send
it'd be
people to a-
conference registration.
right, to pay to send people to,
that one is part of their
conference is-
operational budget, you know what I mean?
Okay.
mhm.
So is the committee saying that's a personnel cost and therefore ineligible? Is that the
Are you-
consensus?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I would think so.
So that means we have another $900.
Okay.
So that, again, assuming people wanna, I'm just trying to keep a running score here.
Okay.
So that puts us at,
Which one was that in again?
Big
So-
Brothers Big Sisters, so 2,700.
Okay.
If people wanna fund Girls on the Run, if we wanna fully fund Boys and Girls Club, we need to shave off
How much?
2,700 from
Yeah.
that.
From somewhere.
And Boys and Girls Club would go down to 9,100.
Yeah, where do people,
Yeah, we need 227, yeah, you're fine. Oh, you're,
so we need to come up with 2,700.
yeah, from other
Okay.
places. So everyone requested $10,000?
Everybody except New Bridge. They
How much?
only requested 9,600.
So,
But to Julia's point, like in years past, I agree with her. When we did have, a lot more demand and less supply, one consideration I took into account when I made recommendations for funding was not the capacity of the nonprofit. So if they're a big guy like Big Brothers Big Sisters,
Yeah.
they could probably get some money elsewhere
Mm-hmm.
versus maybe somebody like Latino Academy or Badger Prairie Needs, a little bit small, more of a shoestring kind of
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit. So that was, Julia brings up a good point.
So, really we're looking, I think, in my opinion, we're looking at Badger Prairie Needs Network and Big Brothers Big Sisters.
No,
Yes.
Badger Prairie, I will tell you something. Badger Prairie, you read the application, 64% of the people that they
Yeah,
feed are Fitchburg people.
right. And so I totally agree. I'm just saying, if you're thinking about strength of,
And they are a
Funding.
volunteer organization, they don't have personnel, everyone is sweat
Yeah.
equity there.
yeah.
So, Julian, if you don't feel comfortable answering this, that's fine, but given your experience with nonprofits, which of those would you categorize as bigger players? And if you don't wanna answer that, that's fine, but
You know,
just so folks can get a sense of like the scale of the,
yeah, I don't want to say.
okay, that's fine.
I know that maybe what we can do is take some money from the new ones. Because the new ones, you know what I mean?
Like who haven't received funds yet, right?
Because the other one, we have a story working with them and we know that they are doing a good job and, you know.
You mean groups we haven't funded at all?
So you mean
Yeah.
like Newbridge,
New
Madison?
Bridge,
Or the Multicultural Center.
or who? New Bridge, yeah.
Catholic Multicultural Center or
Or
the
the
New
Catholic
Bridge,
Multi-
Inc.
And let me,
Okay.
and I was kinda thinking Catholic multicultural might fit into kind of one of those bigger nonprofit boxes, so I just wanted to see their budget in terms of, you know, are they getting a lot of money from outside sources? So yeah, I mean, they're, you know, the project's $450,000. You know, they're asking for 10,000 from Fitchburg, so I think they've got a lot of money that they're
We
bringing.
got funds to make it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are other people's thoughts? My initial inclination was along the same lines, Julia, with New Bridge. But now I'm kind of thinking, yeah, maybe we can reduce it. If the Catholic Multicultural Center has so many partners, they have ability to make up some of that money, maybe we'll look at them.
Yeah, it seems, hearing that again, it sounds as though the Catholic Multicultural Center has got a stronger network to be able
Mhm.
to tap into if the final project's at the 450K mark. So I'd lean more towards that. And again, for either our accountant or Wade, what was our total number that we needed to shave at this point?
I
27.
have 2,700.
27. 2,700.
Perfect, thank you. And that was after the 900?
Oops.
So I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, so that, again,
Okay.
what that would do, that would fully fund Boys and Girls Club, and then we just need to subtract it from elsewhere.
Okay.
And I'm going to put Target on my back again and say, when they got mad at us for not giving them their $50,000, they put out a call, and within 2 days, they raised $200,000 to replace it. So it's not as though Boys and Girls Club is without ability to fundraise.
Mm.
What was
But
fully?
I think if we, you know, it's a weird, to be honest, it's a weird number, this 800 for, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it should be like, 8,000 or 9,000, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't know, make it more,
Round.
Around, a little round
I guess we haven't
number.
heard from Nate or Ryan on kind of the Boys and Girls Club. Did you guys have any, wanna weigh in at all on that?
I know that they lost a big, they lost yesterday a big funding from United Way. You know, and they are in Fitchburg, they have the building in Fitchburg, they have, you know what I mean, so.
Yeah, and Julia, to that point, I really like the fact that there's such an established presence in the city, and they have a facility.
A
I mean,
facility, yeah.
yeah, it's a.
I know that they have more capacity of looking for funds, but,
Mhm.
you know, I think you know, we need to, they haven't asked for money in the last 2 years to the city, so,
I think they did, but we didn't.
I don't know,
We
last
didn't
year,
fund
I
them.
don't remember, I wasn't.
What was that?
Did the Boys and Girls? I think they
Yeah,
did, but we didn't. fund them.
another point in their favor, so they
Yeah.
submitted last year, it was a very generalized, ambiguous application.
And they improve it,
Yeah,
and
and
then they
then
come
the
back.
woman called me and said, what can we do next to improve it? And I said, be more specific.
Yeah.
and they hit it. So,
Yeah, so I think that, what happened, it wasn't the last one that you were reading, you know what I mean? It was another one, you know?
Mhm.
So,
Now, last time I was in the Boys and Girls Club, the dental clinic was virtually shut down because they weren't able to find dentists to staff it. I don't know what the status of that is and if this is one of their ways of trying to bring that back or not, or whatever. I so much would like to do a lot of good with them. I'm somewhat aware of their reputation among members of the community also, as far as not necessarily being a good partner with members in the neighborhood. And
Oh.
that's a hard one. It really is.
you know, what we're trying to do here is try to, you know, to accommodate another organization, the $2,000 for the, you know, the Girls on the Run.
Mhm.
And I think that the other not-for-profit, they were not gonna get mad if they receive $500 less what they ask. If we tell them that we did that in order to fund another organization that they're gonna work with girls and, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I think we are not trying to take like a $5,000 for one to give it to the other one. We're trying to get $1,000, or we can do a $500 for each of them to fund the other one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
How we can be more equitable in our in this
Mhm.
process, that everyone is served. We don't take a big chunk of every one application ask. At the same time, we, you know, or maybe we can say the Boys and Girls Club, instead of giving $8,400, we give it like $9,000, you know, and then
Mhm.
we give it another one $9,000, and then we have, you know,
Mhm.
I don't know. But the idea is how to be more equitable in this process, and because you like the, you know, we agree that we like to fund the $2,000. How we
Mhm.
can make it happen? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Isn't it?
Yes. Now, refresh my memory. Was it last year that our group decided that we wanted to try to steer away from partially funding, or did that come from the other committee said, can you guys please attempt to not partially
I
fund
mean,
anymore?
I think partial funding is fine, it's just can it be of a limited nature? Because it just makes for harder, you know, if someone's applying for a certain amount of money, that's what they're basing their premise on. And then we come back and say, well, we can only give you this much, and they have to recalculate.
But it happened to
Yeah,
this
no,
organization.
I
This
mean,
is what they
there-
do for a living,
yeah.
and they know that sometimes
I
they
mean,
don't get the whole amount.
There's no hard and fast rule here, I'm just trying to think about accommodating applicants and also, to be honest, staff workload and trying to manage these projects. So, yeah, you guys can reallocate, but just keep in mind, there's consequences to that, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm surprised in Badger Prairie Needs Network that the 10,000 that they asked for only goes to food. I'm presuming they just kind of plunked it under one if they're going to be setting up a new space in the church. I'm guessing that they'll be buying shelves and things like
Okay,
that.
can I add to that? I went to the church and I saw the space, because
Mhm.
when I went the other day, they did a tour and they showed me where it's gonna be that.
Right, I've
They
seen it.
already have shelf,
Okay,
and they are gonna, I think they're gonna provide, a cooler is gonna come in that space,
mhm,
and I think they are
Okay.
providing the cooler to them, you know, but the shelf and everything is already set up.
And I would imagine Casey might be stepping up on some of
Yeah.
that too.
mhm,
But yeah, they just kind of do a
Okay.
lump sum budget item for food.
mhm.
Yeah.
The last time I saw the space, it was an empty space.
No,
so-
no, I saw it the other day and it was,
Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't tour it that day.
yeah.
So then I hate to put you on the spot, Mr. President.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, so, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, what Julie was saying about maybe not fully funding, like the new applications, or the people who are receiving funds for the first time this year. So that would be the Catholic Multicultural Center, Newbridge, and Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. So if we did 9,000 to each of those, what would that leave us?
So someone's gonna have to help me out. Do we have, someone have a calculator or?
I have here, what do you want to do with?
So,
Number cruncher.
So like,
person
let's,
there.
So again, so you see the number we're working with on the top there.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can play around with anything you guys want to do to get to that 68.
So New
20.
Bridge, instead of,
And then keep in mind, we have another $900 to play with
Yeah, right, so
for
that's
Big
the other
Brothers
thing.
Big Sisters.
So Newbridge would be, like, let's say we move them to 9,000 instead of 10,000, so that's
so we have another
600.
620. Okay, so now,
We have 620.
so we remove the boys and girls.
The Boys and Girls Club, though, would get,
So if we want
Another-
to get them at 10,
We-
right, fully funded?
what's that?
I don't know what is I think we didn't reach a consensus on that one.
Okay.
Well, I was saying we give them 9,000 also, so we would increase whatever, because you had mentioned, Julia, about the importance, and I agree with you, the importance of the dental, having dental
So you're kind of
access.
saying, Ryan, fund all the new partners at kind of
At the same, right.
I like that approach. I mean, I
Okay.
think it's I mean, you guys can see how it plays out, but I like that from a consistency perspective.
Right.
So what do, okay, so the budget prayer need is gonna
Yeah, Badger,
stay what, okay.
think
What is
that's
the other?
fully funded.
I can do that too.
Oops.
Big
Oh,
Brother,
sorry, yeah, I guess
oh, you're gonna do the math
No,
there?
you do it.
Big Brother, okay, Big Brother, Big Sister, we say it's gonna be, instead of 10,000, it's gonna be,
10,000, right.
9,000?
10,000. So
No.
Badger Prairie at 10, Big Brother, Big Sisters at 10.
No, because remember that they have a 900,000.
9,100 for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
But instead of 90, what can we, okay.
Sure, yeah, you can do whatever you
Oh,
want.
yeah, so we'll, okay. at
So now
91.
one is, okay, let me see, I need to, and then we have a $900 extra here, okay. What is the other one?
So the Boys and Girls Club at 9,000.
Boys and Girls Club, so it's a 9,000,
I
but
think that
we
might get you
need,
there, Ryan. I think that'll be really close.
What's that?
I think
No, I
that'll be
think
really
we're-
close.
so but
Okay.
now we need, okay, so let me, what is, how much we are founding, okay.
And then Catholic Multicultural
second,
Center at
I am-
9,000.
Well, I am doing some math, well, oh my God, let's see here. Minus,
Do you,
what is
do you think?
Yep.
84,
And then Latino Academy at 10,000.
so this one is a minus. What
And
is
then
the other
New
one?
Bridge at 9,000.
So 9,000, and then we have how much?
And then
620.
Unidos at 10,000.
And then Ryan, was this with or without the thought of the running program for the young women?
Though,
The $2,000 that they would need
Oh, yeah.
for.
so we're gonna see how much we have left, right? So how much
Yeah,
does
but
that?
okay, let me see, so the Big Brother Resistive, we need to increase, no, what is that one?
The math in my head tells me we're really close with
That's what I was
the Girls
thinking.
on the Run adding that, but I could be wrong. So Badger Prairie needs network 10, right?
Yeah,
Big Brothers Big Sisters 9,100 or 9,000?
Right,
Which one?
91,
91, okay.
9,100.
Boys and Girls Club 9,000.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Catholic Multicultural Center 9,000. Latino Academy 10,000.
Yeah.
New Bridge 9,000. Unidos 10,000. And then Girls on the Run 2,000.
Let's see.
Got the total.
So that's
So
at
we
60.
have well, how much is your?
I got 66,100. And yeah, we're really close.
I
And
have
we need
68,100.
six. Oh,
Did you add the
can-
Girls on the Run, Ryan?
What's that?
Did you
What, I didn't, that's not, so I was just looking at how much we'd have left over to fund
Okay.
the Girls on the Run. So yeah, so 68,
So we have,
100, right, with
we
that.
have, how many at 10,000? We have 3 at 10,000, isn't it? We have Unidos,
Yes,
we have Unidos, Latino
Yeah, so we're
Academy.
off by,
and Badger Prairie.
Okay, and then we have 2,000 girls on the round.
So we're off by
And then we had Catholic Multicultural 9,000, New Bridges at 9,000, Boys and Girls Club at 9,000, and Big Brother and Big Sister at 9,100. That's it?
Yep. So
So
we're off by 78, right? $78.
What if we knocked
What
that
is it?
100 down?
What is
from
the total?
Big Brother
68?
Big
Oh,
Sister?
28.
Right.
So if you
So
went
we are
down to-
missing $88. I can put it from my own pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or I'm thinking, yeah, or you can knock Big Brothers Big Sisters down 100
To
bucks.
9,000.
At 9,000? Okay.
I mean, just to.
Yeah, let's
Right.
do it like that. Yeah,
Let's do that. Let's do that.
they do that. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so
So
just, so
what?
I got this, so Badger Prairie at 10, Big Brothers Big Sisters at 9, Boys and Girls Club at 9, Catholic Multicultural Center at 9, Latino Academy 10, New Bridge 9, Girls on the Run 2,000, and Unidos,
10,
and that gets us to 68
68.
flat?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So I think it's a good compromise, isn't it?
Mhm.
And we can tell council, we're not spending all of the money.
Yeah, right. We're saving taxpayers $28.
I love it. That works.
I am making my notes here.
All right.
10, Madison, 9, Bedford, 2,000, and then we have 0, and
Is everyone okay with that?
yeah, I
Okay.
think it's
Yeah.
Anyone
It's-
wanna make a
It's
motion?
fairer than,
Do we need to make a motion?
Any final thoughts on that? Are people okay with that, those allocations?
yeah, I think it's a
But I
good
will be-
compromise.
And I guess just on my end, due diligence, I will confirm with Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club, Catholic Multicultural Center, New Bridge, that they can complete their projects with partial funding.
or they can trim their projects down by
Yeah.
$1,000 worth.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Can I have a motion to,
I don't think we need a
or do
motion.
we need a motion?
It,
No?
No?
among other things,
I-
it's not posted for a motion.
Well, if it's on an agenda, it can be motioned, so I would recommend a motion on 5C.
I would like to officially, unofficially make a motion on 5C to approve our decisions to move forward on the allotment for March 2020's HN Grant Review Committee.
Have a second?
And second?
All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
All
Say aye.
opposed?
I
I do approve.
Okay. All right, motion passed. So, nice. All right.
5D, we can just move the
Okay.
agenda to 5D.
5D?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, 5D.
So, do folks remember the concept of the Fitchburg Fund? So basically, it was a partnership with the United Way to raise money that would be pooled with a city allocation of $15,000. We'd put out an RFP to hire a provider to get proposals on addressing the issue, which is essentially youth education. And then this committee would review those proposals, select one, and then the provider would do the work, and we would pay them from the money raised through the Fitchburg Fund and the city allocation of $15,000. Folks, remember that general idea? Okay. So we did run the campaign in February. It was a business-focused campaign. I worked very closely with United Way throughout. Generally speaking, we did not see the fundraising that we expected to see. As a result, United Way wants to continue the campaign for another couple weeks. From my perspective, I see no problem with that. But I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on with that.
So, can you explain where they go, what is the target audience for them and how much money they have?
Businesses are the target.
Business?
Yep, so I did my best to get them all the information I had on city businesses.
Yeah.
I believe they did a mailer.
Oh.
I think they've thus far raised $3,000,
How much?
3,000, yeah. But as we've talked about throughout, you know, we said there could have been more raised, there could have been less raised than the 15,000, so, they're gonna try to do a Plan B and try to drum up some support the next couple weeks. But I did talk with the United Way folks, and just, again, this was a pilot, we didn't know what to expect. We kind of talked about, you know, maybe what led to this lack of the expected funding. They talked about limited resources. They talked about the timing, it was only 1 month, a 1-month campaign, that's very short. They talked about the vagueness of the issue that they're fundraising around. And I think but that's inevitable because we haven't yet identified a partner to do the work. So we can't really come up with a specific issue until we have money and then a provider that provides some programming.
So, and you might be covering this, and if so, just feel free to move on.
Sure.
But if, worst case scenario, it's just the 3K that's
Yeah.
raised moving forward, where does that get allotted to? What's their plans to move forward with that?
So my understanding, unless this committee directs me to do otherwise or wants to explore other options, is we would pool whatever we have, whatever is raised with the $15,000 from the city. And then put out an RFP with that total saying, please submit a proposal for $20,000 to address youth equity issues in this neighborhood.
Okay, I have another question maybe. Why the Fitchburg fund cannot be in the big fund campaign that they have? You know, because I received that in my employer and you can check and I say, I want my money to go to the Fitchburg fund, you know?
Yep, I mean, I
You
think,
know what I mean? Why we cannot be part of that?
so I deferred to their thoughts on that. They wanted to run it separately. But I think you bring up a good point, and that's a thought I've had, is if we want to try this again next year,
Yeah, we need to do it.
we
like
need to
that.
we need to learn
Yeah.
from this year and maybe think about wrapping it up in a bigger campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, yeah.
I think that maybe we should ask you to talk to them about if we can, for next year, we can put it in the,
And maybe what I'll do is when we have our next committee meeting, I will invite them here and we can
Yeah.
talk more about that.
and the other thing I wanna tell you, approaching this big business with a mailer, no. You need to
Well,
go
Yeah,
and sit with them, and maybe one of us should go on those meetings
yeah,
too, and, you know, because
Yeah.
if I have my business owner, I receive that, you know what I do that, put it in the garbage can.
yeah, I think there was
Yeah.
mail, there was follow-up phone calls. We couldn't do emails, we couldn't make that work.
Are they
Oh.
partnering with Chamber at all?
We did attend the chamber meeting. I believe the chamber distributed information in their newsletter. But again, it was a month campaign. It was so short.
I didn't see anything in the newsletter
Okay.
from the.
We did request that and sent correspondence to the chamber, so I don't know.
I think
they
because,
did
I
with
think we can wait another 1 or 2 months to continue with the campaign,
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
are not in a rush to
Right.
start this right away. We want to do
Right.
it, you know,
Yep.
maybe in the summer or in the fall, you know?
Yep, so my
You know
thought
what I
is,
mean? So,
yeah, to come back to you guys and at our next meeting to have that RFP put together.
yeah,
Hopefully by then we'll have closed the campaign, we'll have some more money. We'll know what we're dealing with in terms of funds. We'll have
Yeah.
that draft RFP. You guys will
So
tell me
the
what.
RFP would have a blank in how much money is available?
Well, no, I'm
Yeah.
saying by the time we come back for our next meeting, the campaign will be closed, and we'll know how much money we have. And then I'll have that draft.
Okay, so this committee's not gonna have any more discussion after this about how to help raise money?
Not for, for this year, we're kind of crossed that bridge.
but when they
Watch it.
mention, we have, this is my question, they say we have limited resources, okay?
They say
so
what?
One of the questions they told
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
so if they have limited resources, why they are doing this in the first place? You know what I mean? So,
And I can't remember, I mean, I generalized that discussion. I feel like limited resources might have been, I wish the city could have been a better partner in getting them connected to businesses. We couldn't, I mean, to your point, a mailing isn't great.
it's effective, yeah.
Right, so I think that's kind of what I was getting at with limited resources, timing. So yeah, again, pilot program, we're learning from it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that for us to work this, it shouldn't be like a separate funding
Yeah.
campaign. It should be part of the big campaign that they have, so people, because, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I participate in that, my husband participates, a lot of people here from the city participate, and if you can check the box, you know that our money goes
Yep.
right to our city, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I will feel more compelling to give more money, or to, you know what I mean, and to check the box.
Yeah, I do.
So
Yeah.
I would say that maybe you can ask for that, that
Yeah.
will be, you know, for next year, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, again, I think it makes, if this committee is okay with it, I think it makes sense to have those folks attend our next meeting and just
Yeah.
kind of debrief and what
Mhm.
lessons learned. You know, if we want to try this next year, what can we do better? So, yeah.
In the meantime, are there things that we can do or should do, such as an online, what's the,
Like a GoFundMe kind of?
yeah,
thing?
like a GoFundMe?
Well, I mean, they've
that
got
would-
all their stuff online, I mean, everything's up there, it's just, I think we should hold off on
I
that,
haven't
yeah.
seen in, this is it,
Mhm.
I haven't seen it in our Facebook page coming. I haven't seen
Okay.
that.
I believe I passed it on to those folks, but
I haven't,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
checked that, because
Okay.
I grabbed some information from that and put
Okay.
it on my own political Facebook about information about the city. I haven't seen that coming through my
okay,
feed, okay?
okay,
So that one we need to be sure, because we can grab it from there and we
Yeah.
can share,
Yeah.
okay? I know that is in the, I know there was a video that the mayor did,
mhm,
but I think we need to, you know, it would be that to have that
Yeah.
recurring, you know, not post one and then
yeah.
it's go
So,
to, you know, how we
yeah.
can make that recurring, you
Yeah, and I
know?
think to that point, I think we need, that, to me, that's the marketing plan, right? So, and
Exactly.
again, we just kind of, it was a rushed activity, we tried to make the best of it. I tried to get the word out there, but we can talk next year about specific activities that we want to work on, yep.
Just out of curiosity, real quick, does anybody know the time frame that the United Way puts out their big campaign
Is
to
that
be
the
able?
fall?
No,
Is it the
in
fall?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's usually.
Okay.
so they're working now on that.
Okay, so then at the meeting that they come to present, is it possible for us to let them know that perhaps maybe we
Yeah.
strongly recommend, if
Mhm.
that possible,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's gonna take a lot of work to get it into motion.
Yeah, no, I think if we plan, and again, we don't need to set a date right now, but if we generally think about a next committee meeting, maybe late April, early May,
Okay,
and I'll invite them to come, I think that's plenty of time for them to think about
Yeah.
how can they incorporate this thing into their
Mhm.
broader campaign
Yeah.
next year,
got
yeah.
it.
Well, I'm looking at the chamber calendar, and two things that I'm seeing are events at Yahara Bay. If we could ask Yahara Bay if they could have a little fundraising basket set out for us and encourage, encourage people to drop a little extra into fundraising basket. I'm also seeing, Promega has a spring art showcase on May 10th, or March 10th.
Mhm.
Wondering if they would be willing to have a little bit of a fundraiser on our behalf.
Yeah, but it's next week, so.
So what? If it's next week, that means somebody needs to put together a little bit of a collection basket or box or something with a little bit of a sign.
So,
saying,
sort of cut the conversation short, I guess there is a meeting in here at 4:30.
Oh.
Okay,
But I think I've gotten all the feedback I need on the Fitchburg Fund, so I will take that to United Way and hopefully have them at our next meeting. I guess just quickly, maybe on that related note, is there any thoughts people have on presenting to the council with recommendations that are made today? I can talk with
Okay, yeah.
Julia and Dorothy at a later point in time, but if any folks have, thoughts on, do we want to do kind of what I did today with a little
Yeah.
PowerPoint and then add in
Mhm.
this committee's recommendations?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I was thinking.
Mhm, yeah.
So,
Do your math.
I will. Yeah, I will.
mhm.
Let them know we saved $28. We did our part.
I'm really looking forward to, rather it be, late April, early May, to hear a little bit more about some of the programming that took place
Yeah, so,
in
Yeah.
2019.
yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
Ryan, if we can move to number 6, I'll give a
Yeah.
quick 5-minute
Sure.
talk on that, and then we can wrap up.
Okay, let's move to the report from the department.
Yeah, so we did just kind of close out projects from last year, try to get reporting, and to be honest, it was a little bit like herding cats from the 8 different organizations, but they all got me the stuff I need. But that's, I think, an internal improvement that I want to do for next year is just make sure everyone's clear on reporting requirements and deadlines and timelines. Creating some consistencies there. But a lot of good work was done. My thought was, again, I'll reach out to a few folks and see if they're interested in coming to our next meeting. And then they can kind of present, just give you an idea of kind of some snapshot projects. I will also compile just kind of an annual report to kind of give you guys a sense of what happened with the money in the projects. So I'm thinking recap of last year, Fitchburg Fund, and improvements for next year as the 3 agenda items for our next meeting.
United Way as well.
Yeah, Fitchburg Fund, right.
Yeah,
Yep.
So
Any
what-
other thoughts on
No.
agenda items? Okay. And I don't think we need to set a date now, but are folks generally gonna be around, let's say, late April, early May? Any vacation plans, or?
I should be around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would be in
And
time.
then
So I'll probably send out a doodle poll the next week or two, and, yeah, just fill it out and let me know what works for people,
it works.
so.
Any announcements? Any other announcements? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Meeting is adjourned.
I think that's a new record.